Julien, there you are. How are you? How's the evening? How's parents?
Good morning, Max. I am doing great. Actually, sunny day today. You don't see because got the shutters closed behind me. So, what is it? Curtains? Yeah, curtains closed, but it's shining anyway. It's a very good day, and I am kind of excited because I believe the mailbag came back, and there's a story for you in it.
There is a story, and it will be one that touches on some pain points that you'll appreciate. This is from Jess James, who lives in New York, and it is about buying a treadmill. So apparently they have the kind that it's very minimalist, but you can, if you have a standing desk, you can sit there and walk on it. And she got a new job, and she's going to be working from home a couple of days a week. So she was real excited at getting a treadmill. So she ordered it, and the package was delivered, and they opened it up, and it was a bed frame.
It was a what? Sorry,
Bed frame.
a bed frame.
Right. Just, a simple metal, $50 or whatever bed frame to put a bed on.
Okay.
So not surprisingly, she called the company that she bought this through, and they said, no, we delivered the right thing. And she's like, no, this is a bed frame. This is not a treadmill. I know the difference. So a little bit of back and forth, but eventually got to the point of, okay, it's interesting. We're seeing this one over and over again. The next thing that happened was they had instructions for her to take a picture of the bed frame, and in the picture to have a piece of paper that documented, she didn't specify the details, but documented the details of the delivery and everything. So kind of like I'm going to sign something, and we had another, I forget what it was, where just, go ahead and jump through this hoop. It gives, I guess it gives them documentation and they can prove it. So, and probably enough to keep somebody from just claiming goofy things were delivered and doing that. So they went through that, and that was enough. The treadmill, I think actually the treadmill is due to arrive today. So we don't know there. If there's a chapter 2, we'll have a new mailbag sometime in the future here. But so she did that. Then the company came back and said, okay, we're going to swap it. Just take the bed frame to a nearby Apple or a nearby facility that we have and drop it off there. It's a bed frame. They live in New York. It's not a straightforward thing to go walking down the streets of New York carrying a bed frame. So now they're calling back, and this isn't going to work. Can you have somebody pick it up? And apparently there was a lot of resistance to the idea that they have somebody pick it up. And eventually they convinced them that was, they talked them into agreeing to pick it up. And then it became okay, we're going to call you on a weekday with a very short amount of warning, and you need to be there in a 2-hour window. So it was very high risk that was going to work in terms of their schedule. They both work. That there are days they're home, but there's days they're not home, and they had no control over when this was going to happen. But apparently, the timing ended up working out. They came, they picked it up, and they're now pending coming of an actual treadmill today. They're actually getting their package, and hopefully this will be behind them. There was one other interesting, in addition to the email, I talked to her a little bit, and there was one other interesting thread in all of this. She speculated, and I thought this was interesting, that treadmill is a pretty expensive item. So whatever this order ended up getting classified as was pretty a high valued thing. Bed frame was obviously not nearly as valuable. Again, it wasn't some fancy bed. It was just a metal underlying bed frame. And she is speculating that if it had been categorized as a bed frame, it wouldn't have been very expensive. And they would have said, just keep it. It's not worth the hassle to get it back. But because this was a purchase of a much more expensive item, all of their policies and everything were going against that rule instead of the rule that would have been appropriate for what was shipped. I thought that was an interesting thought. No way to know whether that's true or not, but I thought that was an interesting thought. So that's the story. It's pretty simple, but it's kind of interesting.
Well, prior to chatting with you, I wasn't in a pretty good mood. I feel frustrated now. Just listening to it, I feel frustrated. Where to start? I guess I would start with the comparison you gave. You compared it to my story, which had something similar. My story was about a package being sent, not arriving, and I had to confirm that I had not received it, sign something. There was some level of effort. And the story was about me saying I was actually glad that they forced me through that hoop. That was painful enough that someone who was trying to scam the system would probably not go through it. But not painful enough that I would regret it. It was just the right level of effort. Completely different story here. And my story is probably the post office or someone in the middle losing my parcel. Here, it's very obviously the producer, the factory, that made a mistake. So they own 100% of the problem, but they act like if 100% of the problem was with the customer. They start by saying, no, you're wrong, where obviously...
That's the staggering thing, isn't it? It's like, no, that's a treadmill.
So they make the mistake. They tell you you're wrong. You have to negotiate back and forth. They finally agree to send it back, but it's on you to do all the steps in my story where it was not their problem. Then when they finally accept, you have to transport by yourself to the nearby store or collection facility or whatever it is, which is incredibly inconvenient, knowing that they delivered it in the first place, but you have to bring it back. That's pretty insane. Which is something standard when it's a small item or when you as a customer decide this is not the right item for you. Sure. So it's really on you. And that does make sense. But here, the customer hasn't asked for anything. They just want the product they paid for. And then in the end, they finally accept to pick it up, but according to their own schedule. And if there is one thing we've been saying over and over again is, it's not for the customers to fit to your processes. It's for your processes to adapt to your customer's life. Here they are doing everything they can upside down. I'm actually wondering, you brought an interesting point towards the end of the discussion. I'm actually wondering, did they even bother trying to contact the warehouse or storage or factory or whatever it is to understand how it could possibly be that they would send a bed frame instead of a treadmill? Because the weight must be different, the size must be different. I don't know.
The size the shape would be pretty wrong, but they're two reasonably large items. I could see that,
but they're produced differently, right? One has tons of electronics, the other one is pretty straightforward. They must be in different parts of the warehouse. It's not even the same category of items. So something obviously went wrong. If she got the frame, chances are someone else is sleeping on a treadmill by now.
That's a good point.
That's probably something should have been investigated here.
And who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but you can't. I guess on one level, it's not a bad business strategy to sell somebody something that costs hundreds of dollars and send them something that costs $50, but I don't think it's very sustainable. This was just, I like your passion against this, because this was the vendor making a mistake and really minimally owning up to it only after getting dragged, only after insistence on the customer's part. And that's just really not okay. This should be something where they, it's just like, wow, sorry, we don't understand how this could happen. And you know what? Honestly, I think that was part of it. I think this was a freaky enough thing that the company just couldn't step back enough to go, wow, and take what you're talking about as, oh my gosh, how can something like this happen? We better get to the bottom of this. I think it was more of a, no, that couldn't happen kind of
But
an
the
attitude.
problem is, in this kind of situation, I think the biggest issue is that they have been dragging it on for way too long.
Yes.
In the first, once you get that information, as a company, you must take a stand. It's either you think it's absolutely impossible, this is bullshit, this did not happen, I'm 100% sure, or I know this customer, they have been returning products for the past 6 months, I know I can trust that person. So there could be a good reason to think this is not happening, and I'm taking a stand. At the end of the conversation, we did not deliver that, I don't believe it, I have very strong reason to believe you're trying to scam us. End of conversation, we're not going to replace whatever you pretend you've received. Or there is a doubt, and unfortunately for the company, at some point you got to trust your customers, because you can't just assume everyone is scamming you. So you decide that you're going to do something about it, and maybe you're going to force a customer to pay some effort, but then you're going to recognize that chances are you made a mistake. And if you start from that point that you probably made a mistake, then it's not your customer's issue. So they should not have to wait at home for you to call them up. They should not have to drag the stuff down the stairs into the street. They should not have to jump through 50 different hoops of efforts and complexity. You take responsibility for what happened. But the whole issue here is, from the beginning to the end, they are like, yeah, I don't think we made that mistake, but still we're going to try to help you out because we are nice people, but you're not.
You know what? That's exactly right. That you just hit the nut of this whole thing. Is it's a lack of ownership. It's a lack of it just, yeah, the whole thing sounds like, nah, we don't believe it from moment one to moment last. Just, in spite of, it's pretty simple to say, no, this is a bed frame. I mean, there's no denying it. And, maybe the picture thing, maybe that's fair. If you've got lots of customers and this is somebody who you don't have enough of a return record with. But once that picture's there, it should have been, oh my God, we are so sorry. We're going to get you a treadmill. When is the most convenient time for us to pick this up from you? Don't even put it back in the box. We'll box it, whatever. We'll give you a credit. At the moment where it was obvious that was real, there's no excuse for them having an attitude before that, but it's understandable. But after that, come on, that's the moment where it's just like, forget about it.
And there are ways around it. I mean, either you're still skeptical after the picture, just make it super easy for the person to send it back. As you said, probably don't even need to pack it. Definitely there is going to be a pickup. Don't ask people to drag it downstairs on their own. But assuming you still don't believe them, just wait to make it easy to receive the goods back. Just check the goods. You will see if that's an old bed frame that has been used for the past 30 years, or whether that's something brand new that you actually produce in your factory just next to the treadmill, and then accept that you made a mistake. Or just believe that customer of yours that, yeah, that's a kind of thing, unfortunately, we end up doing every now and then. Send a new treadmill, and by the time you deliver the new product, pick up the bed frame in the same time to bring it back to their warehouse. There are ways around it to make your customer's life easier. The only thing that they can guarantee at this point is that this customer is not coming back. I mean, after getting the treadmill, chances are, if there is competitors doing the same stuff, your friend is going to go to any other provider.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a guaranteed last customer relationship sort of experience. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think, customers are not stupid. We understand that mistakes happen. We are all humans. So you can put the wrong product in the right carton. The delivery guy may actually take out the wrong carton at the point of delivery. The person putting the stickers on the carton may mix things up. A million things could have gone wrong. And anyone would understand this is really unfortunate. It really sucks. It has to be me getting that bed frame I didn't ask for. But I can understand it. What I cannot understand is the attitude coming after that. And there is something serious to fix here. Do you have any other thoughts on that story? Anything else that
No,
they
I
could
just
do
want
differently?
to thank Jess for sharing her story, and hopefully it helps somebody. Hopefully she feels better.
Sure will. Hopefully she can run the way she wants on that bed frame until until a new one comes in. And hopefully the next carton will contain the actual product and not a table or seat or chair of some sort.
We'll see. If something exciting comes, we'll have another episode out of this saga. But hopefully it is a novella, not a novel, and that we're all done.
Well, thanks a lot, Jess, for sharing your story with us, and thanks a lot, Max, for making it so lively again.
All right. Well, thanks for breaking it down. As always, you come up with some interesting thoughts around these things, so appreciate it.
Have a beautiful week, Max. And next week, I actually already received a story for someone that I'm dying to tell you.
All right. Oh, great. Okay. Talk to you then. Bye.
Bye, Max.